Attention. Welcome to the Different Spectrums podcast. We dive into the wild world of mental health discussions. Get ready for profound talks, a sprinkle of humor and sarcasm, and a touch of colorful language. Just a quick heads up, our show reflects our individual opinions, which may not align with the standpoint of the podcast, our featured guests, or any related corporate entities. Our mission? To illuminate through laughter and satire because everyone needs a good chuckle. Chill out and don't stress over the small stuff. Legal troubles? No, thank you. Cancel culture? Please spare us. We'd rather keep this space lawsuit free. So buckle up, have a good time, and join us as we navigate the vibrant realm of mental health on the Different Spectrums podcast. Today's episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. BetterHelp connects you with a licensed therapist who is trained to listen and give you helpful, unbiased advice. By using our link, you can get 10% off your first month of therapy. So, Naz, as a therapist on BetterHelp, what has your experience been like?
I've been doing it since January of 2021, and it's been really fun and exciting. I've been able to reach clients all over the United States and the world. I've had good relationships. I've had folks that I've had for a couple months and a good handful where I've had for almost 2 years now. So it's magnificent. I've enjoyed my time and my clients. I love them.
Awesome. You can do it all from your phone or computer via phone call, video chat, or messaging, however you feel the most comfortable. Let BetterHelp connect you to a therapist who can support you, all from the comfort of your own home. Visit betterhelp.com/DSP or choose Different Spectrums podcast during sign up and enjoy a special discount on your first month. Hey everybody, we back again.
Hey everyone, we back. We live.
I'm Spencer. Of course, we have our licensed clinical therapist, Naz.
Dr. Nas, Dr. Graybeard Nas.
Okay.
I got
Your
roasted
beard is
today.
not that gray. You got like patches of gray in
No,
there.
it's
That's not
getting
fully
gray. I was getting roasted today. It is what it is.
Whatever you say, Mr. Fantastic. Anyways, don't forget to run up those likes for us. We'd really appreciate it. So, before we get into the show, we have a special guest today. She is an LMFT who is part of and works with the Latinx and BIPOC community, helping teens and young adults navigate their lives in these interesting times that we live in. Please welcome Stephanie Olano. Welcome.
Thank you. That was a
Yes.
great introduction. Loved it.
You
I
know,
will.
do my best.
It does its job. No.
I do it just 30 minutes before I'm supposed to get on. Anyways, welcome to the show. We're happy to have you. This is going to be a fun one. So today we are doing the movie Turtles All the Way Down, which was a book by the author John Green. John Green. Stephanie, I know you got a book there. I know you
do.
got it. I know you do.
Hold that thing up now.
This is the book.
There it is.
Signed copy. I spent a little extra for that.
It's
Yeah.
stamped.
Yeah.
You
Hey.
know,
Hardcover.
Oh,
hardcover.
those are the best ones.
Stamped,
Mhm.
signed, sealed, delivered.
Yeah.
So today we're going to be talking about that, and then we're also going to be talking about OCD, some friendships, and then some hyperphantasia, among other things.
Yeah.
Naz, anything before we get into the show?
Before we get started too far, a couple of scenes, trigger warning for those that are dealing with OCD. You're more than welcome to watch. I just want you to prep and get ready for that exposure. There's going to be a car accident in that. So those of you that, have some hyperphantasia, it could be hard to see that accident. Everyone is fine. But it lets you know there's an accident. And then she's going to have kind of a full-blown meltdown in the hospital, where she's going to be technically doing, technically it is self-harm, what she's doing. Not going to be super intrusive, but it is self-harm. So just as a heads up for that, you're going to see some stuff. It's magnificent for folks that don't suffer with these things to kind of see what this is going like. This can affect anyone with really bad anxiety, but specifically obsessive-compulsive disorder, and a lot of folks that are on the autism spectrum, that this is just ingrained in many of us. So We're going to get into it. As you know, it's the summertime. I ain't got a lot of stories, not a lot going on. I'm not going to lie, it's just Fortnite. That's it.
Cars, trucks, that's about it.
Trucks and cars.
Yeah.
I've gone full autistic. Trucks and cars. Has anyone got any trains?
Where are the trains?
I don't understand. There's one funny thing. I was thinking of a client today, and I'm like, I wonder how she's doing. Email at 6:00. Nas, do you have any free time? I was like, yes, I've done it. I've done it.
I am Xavier.
I've gone full Xavier. Let's fucking go. I already went bald for
Get
this.
to my office.
Yeah. What's the Mexican name for Xavier?
Javier.
It's
It's Javier.
There you go.
Dumbass.
Wait a
minute.
It's right there in the
I just passed
name.
out.
You're Mexican.
I just passed
You
out.
idiot.
I was thinking of
I
something
gotta
more
revoke your
racist.
card. I'm sorry. No.
All right, I'm going Arab now. What's the
Hey, here's
Arab
your
name?
card. Take that away.
I got to.
I'm going.
Sorry.
Well, I was looking for
I got a
something.
card for you. Never mind. It's not yours anymore.
Taking it away.
I still like tacos.
Who doesn't like tacos?
I can't say Javier, but I love tacos.
You know,
What?
Javier, no, y'all pronounce it wrong. You people. You people.
Oh my god.
All right, let's get to the fucking show. Whoop whoop.
Okay.
Whoop whoop.
Oh, oop, oop.
I'm taking your card, son of a gun.
No more autism for you. Thank you.
Yeah. All right.
Yes? Okay.
Oh my god, my face already fucking hurts. Jesus Christ. She goes, Javier. I literally passed out. I was like, oh no.
You're not even rolling the R's, man. You're just adding to it.
Yeah, no. The other day I said King Sierra, and my dad was like, what'd you just say?
Ooh, that is so bad, dude.
He literally was like, you stupid motherfucker.
You could have just stopped at Quince. That's all. We know what you mean.
King Sierra. Can I get more queso? With my fucking pico de gallo. I want some pico de gallo.
Where's the ranch dressing?
Oh
Am
my
I
god.
right?
I'm about to go to Texas and get roasted by these fucking folks.
I
dude.
hope you do.
Oh,
I
it's about to be so bad. We're going to San Antonio too, so it's about to be hella Mexican. Oh, it's gonna be awesome.
It's gonna be
I gotta let my face fucking settle down. Woo! It's all tight back here and shit.
great.
This water has to be like 50% urine.
That's the good half. Kidding.
This water is teeming with bacteria.
What a day. The sun's a-shining, canoes a-floating, and we're about to live the American dream. Benefiting from someone else's misfortune.
Could you please row a little gentler so I don't get splashed?
Sorry.
The water will get on you, and then it's only a matter of time before
Hey, did you know that this river is the only reason that Indianapolis even exists?
I know you're trying to distract me.
Yep. But did you know my thing?
bacteria can lead to giardia.
So, back when Indiana first became a state, there were all of these heated debates about where the capital should be. And they noticed that there's a river right smack in the center of the state. So they're like, boom shakalaka. Perfect place for our capital. But then after they made the announcement, they realized that the White River is like 6 inches deep and there's no way in hell you can float a steamship down it. For a long time, Indianapolis was the largest city in the world not on a navigable waterway.
That's actually really interesting.
Yeah, I knew you'd like that. And look at that! We're here! Almost!
What is that?
Oh, isn't he fabulous? I'm naming him Liam.
I thought we were saving the money for college.
We are. Most of it. But I talked the car salesman down to $8,400 from $10,000, so in a way I made money.
In no way did you make any money.
But you already had a car.
I'm just saying.
Okay. Oh, Michael got into that art show. It's in a couple weeks. I know that dirty tunnels might be a lot for you, but is there any way that you could come with me?
Maybe.
Oh, Michael wants to meet up before homeroom.
Oh, I love how into me he is.
I screwed it up? What? No.
You barely even changed my name.
You read my fanfic?
Yes, I read your fanfic. You're my best friend. You didn't think maybe I'd read it?
No. I didn't. Because I've been writing them since I was 11 and you've never read a single one.
What? You never asked.
I shouldn't have to ask. Other people's best friends would just take a little break from endlessly contemplating the inner workings of their own mind to think about other people's interests. I came up with a Yala in 7th grade, and yeah, it was a dick move, but maybe it was my way of coping with having a best friend who's... Like, Michael says that you're like mustard, right? Like, you're awesome in small quantities, but a lot of you is a lot.
Got it.
I mean, have you ever stopped to think about what it's like for me? I constantly have your back and you never have mine.
You're right. All our friendship has gotten you lately is 50 grand and a boyfriend.
But you won't even come with me to his art show. Other people's best friends would... I mean, I know that you have mental problems and whatever, but they make you extremely self-centered.
I am not self-centered.
What are my parents' names? What are their jobs? What's my middle name? Do I have any pets? You're just so pathologically uncurious that you don't even know what you don't know.
You have a cat.
Yes. Congratulations, Aza. I have a cat. I've had her since I was 5. What's her name?
I don't know.
No, you have no clue. You have no idea what it's like for me because you never ask. I mean, you think you and your mom are poor or whatever, but you got braces. And a car and an iPad and all that shit. Do you think that it's just normal to have a house with your own room in it and a mom who helps you with your homework? I mean, your privileges are like oxygen to you, Aza. And then you judge me for buying a car instead of saving it all for college. And I try not to care and I try to be understanding because...
Stop talking! Jesus Christ, you haven't shut up in 10 years! I'm sorry if it's hard hanging out with me, but imagine actually being me. Imagine being stuck in my head all the time with no break, no way out.
I'm sorry.
And to use Michael's clever little analogy, imagine eating nothing but mustard. Being stuck with mustard all the time.
Okay, I shouldn't have said that.
And if you hate me so much, then why did you just stop asking me?
Are you okay? I think so. Do you?
You're hurt. Aza. Stop. Stay still. Aza.
Honey, I've been doing this kiddo. You're in the hospital, but everything's gonna be okay. I love you so much.
Is Daisy okay?
They gave her some stitches on her forehead, but she's gonna be fine.
I ruined Harold.
I know, baby.
Dad loved that car.
Dad loved you.
Am I okay?
You have a lacerated liver, but the internal bleeding is mild.
I'm bleeding inside.
Just a little. The good news is you don't need surgery. They just want to monitor you for a few days.
What? No. No, I can't stay here, Mom.
Asa.
Please just do something. I can't stay here. I have to go home. I'm gonna get C. diff if I stay.
You don't have C.
Probably
diff.
already have C. diff.
No, you don't have C. diff.
Hospitals are where people get it, okay? I can't stay here, Mom. I can't stay here.
Asa, your liver is bleeding. We can't go home. But I'll be with you the whole time. I promise.
I have to go, Mom.
C. diff is invading your body right now. It's all around you. You're infected. You're full of bacteria colonizing you. It's all colonizing you, and you can't stop it. You can't. You can't have a boyfriend. You can't go to college. You can't have a job. You can't even control your own brain. You can't. You can't. You can't. You know how to deal with this. It's the only way. It's the only way. Come on, kill it. Kill the infection. You have to. You have to. You have to.
Please think about something else. I hate being stuck inside you.
You want to feel better? You know how to feel better.
It'll just make me sick. Do you want to die of C. diff?
This is not rational. Your now is not your forever. This is not rational. Your now is not your forever.
Kill the infection. Kill it. Kill it now. Please let me go. Please, I'll do anything. You can have this body. I don't want it anymore. I am my way. I'm not my will. I am my way, not my will. You'll never be free of this. You're possessed by a demon. Do you want to die of fucking C. diff? No, because you will. I will. You will. I will. You will.
No, what are you doing? No, stop that.
You're disgusting. You make me sick. You're not possessed by a demon. You are the demon.
Hey everyone, thanks for watching our show today. We just wanted to take some time to give a special shout out to our collaborator, Cat and Raven Design. They are a small queer-owned business that specializes in LGBTQ plus pride soaps. They have great designs, some that even look good to eat, but don't. You can get 10% off your entire order if you use the code DSP or go to our link tree. Help support this great small business and help give back to a great community. And we're back again.
Hey, we're back and we're live. I almost passed out and died. So, you know, thank you that, Stephanie. You're attacking people with high blood pressure. I get it. You got something against us. You know, I'm going to have to drink a cola after this, lose another toe. It's fine.
Okay.
It's fine.
Cola.
A cola.
We're not saying which brand it is, all right?
Yeah.
We don't know.
They don't sponsor us yet. Let's get into the show.
Okay, let's just do that. So, before we get into the movie itself, Stephanie, like I said in the intro, you're an LMFT. How'd you get into like mental health? How'd you get into being a therapist?
The short story, my sister told me to.
That's the
Okay, there you
But
go.
most
There you
autistic
go.
thing I heard today.
when your sister is the parentified sibling, you kind of just do what she tells you. Like you just, and I'm the baby of the family, so you just do what
Ah,
she says and then just go on. But no, I graduated 2010. That was at the height of the 2008 recession. There were no
Yeah.
jobs.
Okay.
There were no jobs. I didn't have a plan. I just didn't know what I wanted. And I was a liberal arts major. Like, what was I going to do? Couldn't go into any direct, line of,
No.
workforce or anything. So my sister sat me down and was like, you know what? Just become a therapist. You read Freud for fun. You give good advice. You have the listening ear for it. You seem to have a knack for it.
Okay.
You seem to love it. Just try it out. So that summer, I decided to just apply to community college, take the Psych 101 courses, and see how far I could take it. 10 years later, still trying to see how far I can take it.
Here we go.
Here we go.
Here we go.
okay. So with you, so I'm assuming you really love books, huh?
Oh,
Really
yeah.
love books.
Comics, wordy books. I call it chapter books or wordy books.
Okay. Do you, uh, when you first kind of started reading books, did you have a sense of like you could see these different pictures when you read, or was it more of like you just wanted to get all the information you could when you started reading?
So when I was younger, I didn't like reading.
Oh,
So I could remember like when Harry Potter came out, I'm like, I don't get it. I just don't understand why people are obsessed with this book.
He's white.
It wasn't until maybe high school, I started reading for fun, and
okay.
it wasn't even like a sci-fi or fantasy book or anything like that. It was actually like reality. It was about this author by the name of Pyrie Thomas and his life in Spanish Harlem, but also during the civil rights era. And it was the first time I read someone who kind of had my similar background
Mhm.
in the same era. And it was just, for me, it was life changing. The way that he writes prose and writes scenes, it was just like, wow, like, wait, we can do this? Like,
Mm,
there are people who kind of come from similar cultural background. He's Puerto Rican, nothing what I am, but similar background of like family dynamics and experiences and trauma. It was like, whoa, like this is we are allowed to be white writers. And it wasn't until high school I was starting putting that together.
oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, so and with that, then you've kind of drawn these experiences from others, and you feel like you can now you're really helping out others in your own community and doing that. Like, what does that mean to you to really help your own community through mental health?
I think for me, it's what we've always done. I don't know, like when you live in a collectivist society, you're always figuring out ways to help one another,
Mhm.
help lift each other up. I think at least in my family, we've always strived for like if someone knows something, if someone is better at something, you should try and like ask for help or try to see what they know so you can make your life easier. Or
Mhm.
at least that's how it was between me and my sister. She's technically first gen and she went through college and grad school on her own so that I could have an easier time navigating those circles and
Okay.
I didn't have to struggle as hard. So it was that kind of mindset of like, okay, you do help out. You do try and like make it easier for someone else so
Yeah,
they can be more successful and help the next person out.
yeah.
When you were going through school, so you did your undergrad and then you went back to community college. Did you ever have any teachers of color, or mostly was it white-bodied individuals?
My favorite ones were the ones of color. Like, and then there were the ones who were like maybe on the spectrum, but they just didn't advertise it.
You know,
So
I saw that
there
motherfucker
was a
eating
flavor of
Legos.
something.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
saw him eating Legos. You're like, he's autistic.
Like the way you talk, there's
I
something
know.
there.
There's something. Yeah, no.
We'll go back to that.
The way you sent me that email,
Yeah.
that ChatGPT, it's 2010. There ain't no ChatGPT. I'm autistic.
Yeah. But they were few and far between. A lot of my again, I come from like a liberal arts background. A lot of them were white or white
Hmm.
presenting of a certain generation. And I didn't see a lot of myself in those in that realm. But what I did, I'm like, can you like mentor me? Can I like be in this room a lot longer type of thing?
For sure. What about when you started going through like internships and stuff like that? Were you starting to see more folks that look like you identified, with you, or no, not so much?
So that's like kind of complicated. So when you're a nonprofit, you do see a lot of yourself,
You do.
but to a certain degree. The directors don't look like me, but the ones who are doing the work, yes, they look like me. And there's something, I think personally, there's something sinister in that. I think they do that on purpose.
Yeah, that's a whole podcast to get into. Way back when we talked about it with Lilo and Stitch, when Cece was talking about the businesses and the companies that she's been working with, and she's like, it's all black women in here working, and yet the folks that are running the show are like these white dudes. What's going on with that? And it's very much like that in higher education as well. At the counseling centers, you're like, you see all these women, is 90% women working in there, and then you just see the supervisors, admin, it's all white dudes, and you're like
really? Yeah. And every nonprofit, it was the same thing. Or even when I was working with Medi-Cal clients, I'm like, the ones making these policies and decisions, they don't look like me, or they do not come from a mental health background. How does that work?
That's weird.
I don't get it.
Yep, that's always weird.
We're a very diverse company here, so
yeah, we're a little diverse, just a little bit.
We're diverse, not anything up here, mostly down here.
Yeah.
Where you'll be be stuck there.
Oh, you think you could? No. Stays right there.
Right here.
And it's like a great like representation of gatekeeping like that I've ever seen. Like
yeah.
No.
No.
Oh,
you don't know the password. Sorry.
You know the password.
The password is palm.
And I'm locked out forever. God damn it.
She said the password is the palm.
It's gotta be this color.
I remember when my homegirl was like, dark meat, white meat. And I was like, oh no.
Yes.
I can't say it. Yeah, white on white. It's fine.
Oh my God.
Red?
White on white.
That's just a sandwich.
I know.
Got that white bread. All right.
Real quick, I want to pay respect and tribute for folks that went to community college. A lot of people shit on it. I went to community college for 2.5 years, right? I mean, mine was a different path. I was expelled from one university on some stuff, but I went for 2 years, loved it. Those were my favorite teachers until I got into my master's program. And then all these wonderful women would come and were like, oh, baby, we're going to take care of you because you're an idiot. I know.
And they were right.
They were. It's just awesome when people take you under their wings. But I just want to shout out a bunch of folks that are at community college now. There's no knock on it. Don't listen to the noise. Go there. It's inexpensive. Get your knowledge up. Get your study skills, your habits up. Go to community college if you can't afford it. Please, please, please do not shit on community college. Now I did that plug. You can co-sign that plug if you want to. I just wanted to make sure I said that because people love shitting on community college.
No, I find that, even if you could afford 4-year community college is where it's at, because a lot of those professors, they actually want to be there. They actually just want to teach. It's not, whereas, when you go to the 4-year private colleges or institutions, it is for clout. It is to get a book deal. It is to you're getting taught by like the TA. So you're not even going to your teacher, So yeah, if you want to deal with more passionate teachers, community college is the way to go.
Magnificent. Just wanted to talk about that. I'll kick it back to you, Spence.
Yeah. Yeah. And I also went to a community college as well. So
oh shit.
We up in here.
Look at us. Poverty row.
Sometimes it's free. It's free. The county I live in, it's free. So.
Oh shit. That wasn't free, but
Yeah, San Mateo County, they know what's up. So if you want to do like a whole 4-year in the trades, like you can go for free.
Oh shit.
They're starting to switch that in a lot of places now, Spence, where they're starting to make them free. Yep.
Didn't know that.
They're trying to. Really they're trying to in a lot of places.
Of course. Yep. Yeah. Well, we'll see if that happens in the future. Free college. Yeah, they suck anyway.
No,
that's what they're gonna say. That's what they're gonna say.
Why would we do free college when we're gonna ship all these weapons to a country to murder a bunch of other people?
Whole other story. Whole other
I'm just gonna take a pause in an awkward silence there.
Okay.
The sarcasm there is making sure all my folks know. Now we're gonna pivot.
And pivot.
And now we're back.
So, you're a money trauma coach. What is that? I don't know what it is.
Yeah. So because I work with a lot of young adults or folks who are first gen and they don't know how to deal with money, they are very nervous when they get like their first few paychecks. And maybe for the first time in their lives, they're having conversations on what do I do with generational wealth? You know, it's not that we aren't capable of learning how to manage our money, it's the feeling or overcoming the anxiety of trauma that gets the best of us. So for me, I knew I had money trauma when I was having panic attacks paying my bills,
Okay.
you know, and I had to seek professional help for that. But explaining it to my financial coach was very difficult because they don't come from a mental health background. They helped me manage my budget, they helped me talk more about like what was happening, but trying to get and because I come from like a trauma informed type of background, I was seeking certain answers or just having certain conversations that this person couldn't have. And the more and more I was working with my clients, I could. So I just started putting two and two together. I'm like, okay, I don't know much about money on this front, but I know a lot about money trauma and
Mm.
how that could impact someone's psyche and the body.
What what the hell is money trauma?
So money trauma is really it's very similar or akin to what we know as trauma today. It could either be like little t trauma or big T trauma, but basically I grew up in a household where money just wasn't talked about, but I could see the effects of it
Mm-hmm.
in my household. I knew when my mom was getting paid. I knew when we couldn't make had a I knew when we didn't have enough for rent,
Mm.
you know, and that left a certain feeling in me. And through that, I started to pick up on what are the core values in our family when it comes to money. Oh yeah, we can send money to Nicaragua and show off in some way, but we also had to borrow that money from my grandma, you
Mm.
know? Or if I needed a new pair of shoes or had to go to the hospital because I was also struggling with my own, stress and my own like mental health stuff, but it was manifesting as like a stomach pain, I was reminded many times like, hey, I spent a lot of money on that. You should really appreciate me, you know? Or those shoes, like you don't need new shoes. But if we're in front of like cousins or something, then I'll get you the new shoes. So there's all these things I was putting together, but I wasn't tracing it back to like the money trauma.
Yep.
And that shaped me and that followed me into my adulthood. I can't buy a new pair of shoes without feeling guilty. I can't, I can show off when my friend is visiting, but I'm also shaming myself when I do spend money on myself, you know?
Can this also happen with people that have money, like affluent people,
I think if
a
you're
different way?
Yeah, I think if you're born with money, it's a new type of shame.
Yeah.
Like, depending on one, you have to be aware that,
Mhm.
not many people have the money you have,
Yep.
you know? So there's some folks who like hide their money. I think they call it like stealth wealth type of thing. Like they look working class
Yep.
and they look like they wear like ratty clothes, but they're not. They actually come from like a comfortable background,
Yep.
you know? But when they're looking for that connection or that camaraderie, they do feel a little shame because it's like, wait, my struggle is not your struggle, but my struggle isn't a struggle at all compared to you.
I've got some clients who are aware of that. That's
Mhm.
not really a struggle, but it's their frugalness. And some of it's like the anxiety and fear of like, hey man, I might need this 30K. I'm like, you got 30K, motherfucker. You need to start paying more for sessions.
Yeah.
But they know that and they feel bad for other people. But I've had clients, it's just tough. But we're also talking about different classes and socioeconomic status. So, right. I mean, you got someone like me, there's a couple ways you can go. But you got a lot of folks that didn't grow up with nothing and they like to buy a lot of stuff. God bless you. Buy whatever you want. Cars, jewelry, clothes. They call it hood rich, right? Look, I'm going to show this off to the whole hood society. If you're not from the hood society, show this off to people, wealth, keeping up with the Joneses, whatever you want to say. And then you got folks like me that are like, well, I'm going to go ahead and save all this money. And I'm going to save it and I'm going to save it because I'm never going to be broke again. I'm never going to worry about rent or food. I'm never going to be evicted again. I never want to feel that feeling again. I want to be able to go into the store, and if I want it, I buy it.
Yeah.
But I'll perseverate for weeks and months and weeks and months on a purchase. Unless you catch me in one of those modes where I'm opening up the pocketbook, then I'm like, fuck it, let it rip. Which rarely happens. But when it does, it does. And this is at a privileged state now because, right, I've got a doctorate, good job, house, right, I'm very privileged right now. But still, that trauma is always embedded in me where you just wait.
Mm-hmm.
It's a son of a bitch.
Yeah.
And you never
And we
really
feel that in the body. Yeah.
Oh, 100%. For me, it's like in the mind. I get that tension headache, and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I'll put it in the cart. I'll take it out of the cart. I'll put it in the cart. I'll take it out of the cart. Right? I mean, it's a whole thing. I'll save up. I'll say that I need to do something good so I earn this thing. There's a lot of shame and guilt in it, and a lot of fear of. I knew what it was. What you were talking about. I want to make sure that the others knew what it was, because I'm not really sure statistically in the demographics of the pod when it comes to economic status. I know all the other stats on race, gender, sexuality, but not that one stat. Thank you for answering that.
Yep.
I think we're ready to get into the movie.
Let's do it.
Sure. Let's do this.
Go. All right. So first, actually, let's ask why. What about this movie really kind of talked to you, and what about the book really talked to you as well?
Yeah.
From the movie, I liked that there were 2 Latina protagonists because I don't know if you're aware. All these streaming sites and Hollywood are just taking away things that speak to me. Like I am not their demographic somehow,
Yeah, no.
you know. So any type of representation, I'm like, "Oh, please stick around. Like I gotta hold on to you."
Yeah.
And the fact that there were 2 Latinas who were like, you know,
Right?
good friends, and it wasn't like this catty, like, you know, mean girl type of stereotype. It's just awesome to me, you know?
Okay. And then what about the book? Was there any differences between the book and the movie, or were they kind of both similar?
I think just the way that John Green writes about the intrusive thinking is slightly different because I didn't know this at the time when I read it, but he struggles with OCD.
Yep.
So he, from his end, was able to put in like I think a little bit of himself in this book compared to of his other writings in the past. Because, you know, yeah, the protagonists are female, but one, he tends to write females a little bit more. But when it comes to this book, I think he kind of like wrote about himself as an adult, and that's never really been done before. All his other writings are he's writing about himself when he's like a teenager,
Okay.
or like in middle school. So this
Okay.
was like the first time I'm like John Green, like after YouTube fame. It's
Okay.
interesting.
All right.
Maybe there's some healing and he's doing throughout his writings.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I think so too, and it's showing because I think right now he is. There was a moment where he was still doing the YouTube thing, but he was more involved in like his charities, you know? So you didn't get the sense of like he didn't leave the sphere, but he was taking a step back for a little bit. But now he's kind of coming onto the scene a little bit more, especially with this project.
This is a random question. Why in the hell is it called Turtles All the Way Down?
Oh, there's a scene. It's like a metaphor. So the protagonist meets like she really wants to go to this one college. Like she's like obsessed with this one professor who's talking about like contamination and you know what the body does and all that stuff. And there's this metaphor that the professor uses on like, so what happens if the universe is rests on the back of a turtle? Yeah.
There's that one movie that ends up being that from Disney. Yeah.
Yeah, and then it's just this mental exercise will just turtles all the way down. Like no matter what, there's always going to be a turtle that's just balancing the turtle that has the universe type of thing.
Yeah, that's
Right.
great. Give that image to an autistic person. There you go.
Yeah.
Lots of turtles.
It's raining turtles.
Hey.
Yeah.
Why do they all know karate?
Are they okay?
No, space turtles. That's the word.
Oh,
Space turtles.
Space turtles.
Yeah.
I don't even
Speaking
know.
of turtles, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Go watch the episode.
Go watch the episode that we did. Yes. That's all about feeling
Yes.
like a mutant.
Actually,
Yes.
we have a couple of them because we did the live action movie and the new one. So,
Oh, there you go.
oh,
All right.
there we go.
Yeah, I wondered what that was about. Yeah, let's get into the scenes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, could you give us a little bit of backstory on just, the scene and maybe a little bit on the movie? What's happening? What's going on?
Yeah, so I didn't realize this until we did this. I chose the scenes with the friends.
Oh,
I think other folks would have chosen like the love interest or like maybe even the protagonist when she's in a room. I'm like, no, let's see the 2 Latinas be friends.
Bleh.
I love
Yeah.
that.
There we
So
go.
the first scene is where they're in the canoe and the protagonist is just having Aja is just having like intrusive thoughts, about, the water and if it's gonna splash on her and she's gonna, get these germs or somehow her body's just gonna be contaminated, and it'll lead to death. Cause that's the ultimate fear. Like if something happens, I'm not gonna survive it.
Intense.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think this whole movie really just depicts OCD or just intrusive thoughts in a in an interesting way cuz people just think like, "Oh yeah, you have a bad thought or intrusive thoughts, just think of something else." It's like,
Mm.
no, it's just all encompassing. Like there's no moving away from it. There's no distracting from it all the time. It's just it's just there.
Her acting in the car scene, that which we'll get to, is magnificent. The angry, the furrowed brow, and then like you could see her like lost in thought and trying to hear and listen. I've been that person trying to hear and listen, and you're like, shut up. And
It's too loud.
I've almost crashed
Yeah.
a few times. My dad's just like, you almost killed us. Good job, asshole. Good job. I thought it was really good on the visuals that it gives you, because it goes to, all right, here's the thought, or you hear the narration in her brain, and then boom, visual, thought, visual, and how in sync they are. I think a lot of people will relate to that specifically.
Yeah. And how mindfulness or breathing doesn't always work, because how you're fighting against your own brain. I remember a professor or a supervisor once said, having OCD is like having a war in your mind.
It is.
That's really how it is.
It really is. So that first scene, right? They're cruising on the boat, and right, some stuff's happening, right? And her brain, she's starting to lose it. I want to talk about if you've had any clients that have had OCD, and how have you helped them manage it and work through it. I'm a firm believer that OCD, you're not getting rid of it. These mental illnesses, mental health related things, you just learn how to cope, learn how to deal with it.
Mhm.
You take it from a 10 down to a 9, down to a 7. You're like, okay, it's manageable. You could have different beliefs. It's completely fine. So have you had any clients that have dealt with this? And do you think that her friend did good at helping her cope and get through it?
Yeah. So I think for that type of intrusive thinking or OCD, no, I haven't much experience. I have had, clients with OCD, but that is like kind of like there's like a PTSD or some type of trauma that accompanies the OCD,
Yep.
right? I look at it more as like a symptom for those clients. Now, those who have just the OCD, I think that diagnosis is a little problematic because there's kind of like this conversation of, well, we need to just find a way to get rid of it. We need to find a way to extinguish the behavior. It's looked at as a behavior problem. It's looked at as a behavioral problem, and that's not helpful for a lot of my clients
Yeah.
because it's really just how their brain operates.
Yep.
And for the protagonist, Aja, she had legitimate fear. That water looked awful. Like why would you can't consume it, you don't want to swim in it. Why are we to say like that's a irrational thought when there probably are some legitimate concerns there.
I've been to Indiana. They have some shitty water.
Yeah.
It's poisoned by the way, people. They poison the soil.
Jesus.
Hey, 70's like, yep. Hey, I'm a co-sign.
Yep.
They did it.
They did it. But let's be for real, man. I've been in water, and you look at it and you like, oh hell no. If I jump, I always freak out. I got some warts when I was younger, playing in the pond with fishes and stuff. So now every time I go near water, I'm like, damn, I can feel that wart is cooking in me. I feel like that's, like you said, very accurate. I think that I almost feel like you can see her dissociating while she's in the water. I feel like maybe it was just me, but I felt like everything was getting a little blurry and she was zoning out. She was dissociating. She was fading away. And her friend, she's like, I know you're trying to distract me. I thought that was magnificent because I've done that with clients where they're like stuck in one thing. And I'm like, so, what are you doing after this? You get lunch after this? And they're like, Nas, shut up. Well, no. You got homework after this, and then you're gonna go eat dinner with Rebecca.
Bring
it back. And you want to really know how to trick someone is you know what their plans are for that coming day, or you know what the real thing is, and then you say it wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So you're like, yeah, aren't you got dinner plans with your boyfriend Bobby? And then like, I'm gay as hell. Why are you talking about Bobby? You know it's Elizabeth. You know? It's worked. I've had some folks dissociating, going catatonic, and it's different for everyone. But grounding them in what are you going to do today gets them out of that anxious thought, and then they're like, oh shit, today, what am I doing today? I have not had many clients with looks like her severity of contamination. I have had many clients with contamination issues, fear of germs, self-harm, harm to others, pedophilia. I have a lot of different germ-related things, a lot of different OCD-related stuff. Murdering people by accident in the car, like running them over. They're like, I heard a thump. They're like, I'm checking the scanners. I'm like, you didn't kill anyone. Like you'd know. But you sure? I'm like, there'd be blood. There's some paint chips. That shit's been there since 1982, you know? And so with her, if she was my client, I'm not going to lie, it'd be tough because how pervasive it is. There needs to be some medication involved. I'm not sure if she's on medication in the show. I'm like, holy cow, there needs to be some medication to get her brain to calm down. And then legit therapy with a specialist. So I'm cool to handle a lot of different things, how it's impacting you, friends, like the trauma around your family, finances, like all those things. I would love to work with it. And I want to get you to see a specialist if you can afford it. If you can't afford it, I'm going to do the best. But that would probably be one that I would want to tag team with at least 2 or 3 people.
Because there's family dynamics there that, you could tell mom was trying, but there's just a lot there. But what I liked about the scene as well was that compared to other folks, she does have support. She has mom, she has a friend willing to like distract her and like educate herself to like, maybe my friend will feel better if I just give her factoids about Indiana and see if that's helpful. But you could tell like it just wasn't enough because she's still like, I'm not in my body type of thing. These intrusive thoughts are happening automatically. Even if I want them to stop, I just can't.
Personal question. Have you ever dealt with any intrusive thoughts or obsessive thoughts like that?
Not to that degree. I read a stat that says like 90% of human beings like have intrusive thoughts on some level. I think it's much higher than that. I think all of us struggle with intrusive thoughts, but the issue is it messing with our function? Like, can we still get up in the morning? Can we still go to work? Can we still have relationships? And for this person, it was teetering. Like for a minute, she was able to go to school and, do her daily teenage girl thing, but there were just some aspects like dating, she just wasn't able to really handle.
I've had some people where it impacts them being in a relationship when it comes to sexual intimacy. So not just trigger warning, not just to penetrative sex, but also anything oral, kissing. They just can't do it because the exchange of saliva. And like some of my kids, if I just say that, they're like, nope, I'm done. Because I'm like, yeah, man, who wants to kiss? You're just like licking each other's faces. And they're like, gross. I'm like, but that's what you're doing, Yeah. It's gross, I can taste the forehead oil.
When you think about it, like intimacy is kind of gross in between humans.
It kind of is.
Like flowers make sense or fish make sense at that point.
Let me kiss a fish real quick.
Yeah, I hate fish. But like for real though. And so I've had some folks that they've had to break up. And this is like long-term relationships. It'll start like in high school or middle, usually high school, and then college is like, nope, I just can't do it. Some of them also is the obsessiveness is in, what if I get pregnant? What if I get pregnant? What if I get pregnant? And that doesn't matter what gender, because they're both worried about it. So not only contamination, but like this could ruin like our life, and then their brain is gone.
Yeah.
And so now it's slowly working through the intimacy and things like that and practicing safe sex is intense, man. I remember one of my boys, he's like, man, I saw a dead bird today. I was like, oh shit, you good? It's like I had to wash all my clothes, take them all off, had to wash the whole bed, everything. Like I've had some students that are definitely autistic and obsessive, and like someone sits on their couch or their chair and like they would start scratching themselves and like, oh my God, I want to die because this person is in my chair.
Well, are they wearing outside clothes?
Yes.
Because that's a brown people thing.
Yeah, they
We
were.
don't wear outside clothes on the bed.
So outside clothes, yeah. So you got to change your clothes when you come inside. So, you know, for me,
Especially if you're on the bed.
see,
Yeah.
me and Spence, we'll get a full game of basketball and go lay in the bed.
Hell yeah.
Oh no.
Let me
No,
tell
no,
you
no.
something. Let me tell you something. It gets sweaty over there. My bed's right there.
It's one big oil stain.
No. If you do that, it has to be the top, like savannah, like the top blanket. No on the bed sheets like that.
Oh,
If
I
you are
soak
wearing
right
outside
through.
clothes.
Soak
No.
right through
So-
through the bed frame.
So you haven't met too many arrows. We're greasy people, as my dad says. We pretty greasy. We oiled up anything, but white
Turn
shirt.
a white towel into a tan one real
Yep,
quick.
it's
What the
gone.
fuck?
My dad always says we're just a greasy people. I'm like, are we? Or is it just me and you and our skin? I think it's just our skin. Sorry, we have a lot of acne. It's a whole thing. My dad's gonna be like, shut the fuck up.
Stop talking about our acne.
You're giving away trade secrets now.
I know. Well, you know, Jesus. Trade secrets, you know. So Spence, you ever been in the water and had any intrusive thoughts about like because we're getting ready to go hiking and stuff. We're gonna be around water and
Only
bears.
intrusive thought I've ever had is if like I was like, is there a shark in here? Like, is it gonna get me? Am I gonna get eaten by a fucking shark in this pool? That doesn't even make sense how a shark would get in there. But you know what?
I've been there. I've been there.
It's
Jaws has forever ruined me.
I've even had like thoughts of where I was like, am I gonna get bit by like a fish in a lake here in Minnesota? Like, is that gonna happen? Rarely ever happens. Fish are fucking scared of you. Like, but at the same time, could happen. You know, snapping turtle, what's gonna happen? I don't know. But I mean, not really. Only because even if I did have those thoughts at one point, I would probably just like they immediately kind of go away.
You're able to filter them out.
Yeah.
Yep.
Fizzle it out. Because then I, just get distracted by, trying to swim and survive and not die, But
True. The reason why I bring this up, Stephanie, because we're getting ready to go on a road trip and go see some of these national parks, and we're going to be doing some hiking and stuff. And
we'll say bears, though. That's a real threat. And I'm like,
bro,
gotta watch out for bears.
So I was talking to Colin, and he's like, "Yeah, you guys, did you buy your bear spray?" And I was like, "What?" I just bought 2 canisters of bear spray, Spence. It's like pepper spray for bears. No honey.
Damn.
And so here's the next intrusive thought thing that I thought led right really good into this is I bought 2 of those life straws where they filter it where you can drink like pond water. And I'm like, there's no way I'm going to think that I'm not getting contaminated from pond water while still using the straw, even though it says it's 99% effective.
What about that 1%?
That 1% is straight urine.
Well, I think nowadays, like contamination, intrusive thoughts are just norm. Like we just came out of like the pandemic.
Oh,
right? It may
preach.
not be on water, but it's anytime I have to open like a public door or touch anything outside my home, I'm like, I need hand sanitizer. I need to wash my hands. Because again, we have had 4 years.
It's
We're
intense.
just having those precautions.
You're right. I forgot. Everything's been heightened. OCD has skyrocketed. Obsessive thoughts, contamination fear skyrocketed since the pandemic, especially with a lot of folks having immunocompromised things like my father as well. It was pretty intense. And if we're being honest, a lot of death. People like to forget about it. Or like say it didn't happen. A lot of death. A lot of people of color died. So.
Oh yeah, my dad almost fucking died from that shit. It was
I
bad.
remember.
He was
Really
on a
bad.
ventilator and everything. Fucking A.
Yep. Scary, man. Scary times.
Yeah.
So
And although you guys are talking about hiking, like, are we aware of like the bear versus man conversation?
Yeah. Actually, we did have a conversation pretty
Like-
recently, actually, on the pod.
Yeah. I know me and my partner, we're like bears. Bears, right? Bears.
No. But we said real quick, maybe you won't agree. Now let's say we got different races of men in that woods. Were you scared of them all equally, or some a little bit more than others?
The fact that I don't know the man, because again,
Okay.
I'm a woman.
Yep.
Like that femme presenting.
Yep.
Physically, I'm unopposing. I don't come off as like I can handle myself in the woods. I can't. I'm from the Bay Area. I know nothing of the woods. If I'm there, I'm lost. And if I see a strange man, it's a very different situation for me.
Facts.
Fair.
I was thinking like I see another black guy or a brown person in the woods, I'll be like, hey man, you lost too? If I see a white,
Are they coming after you, or do we have to run? Do
I need to hide? Yeah, no, I get that.
I know.
But no,
You know
the
what I'm
fact
saying?
that
You gotta
I
ask
know
these
the
questions.
man, yeah.
Scary.
It's scary. Scary no matter what.
And I'm gonna be real with you. You know, I joked a lot, and I said, you know, I've said some jokes on threads, and people like were hating me. It was funny. I was like, y'all keep calling your ex, but keep saying you choosing bear or whatever. We're gonna pivot. And this is actually real life. I was walking with my niece in Texas, and this is after my brother had passed, and it's just me and Salim. And this white dude walked up on us, and we're in the woods, and we're just coloring and having fun, right? I mean, I'm very protective now. My brother had just passed. This is all we got now. And I was like, oh shit. I'm like, I ain't got nothing on me. And he's just right behind us. I'm like, hey girl, get over here. Celine, get between us. So you all right. If it would have been a bear, I probably would have been freaked out too. But I seen a white dude in the wood while we were hiking, and I'm like, oh, I can't let nothing happen to this little brown girl. This ain't today. So you're right. I haven't actually thought about that in a long time. I think because I'm going back to San Antonio to see her. Now she's all grown. Having your quinceañera.
It's been in Indiana way too long.
It just hurts the ear.
Quinceañera.
Quinceañera.
I'm getting whiter and whiter every day. It's horrible. This is what they do to us. You know. It's mind control. I ain't had any ethnic food. I had bratwurst today. I ain't gonna lie. And a light beer.
You're not even German.
Hey, but we did wrap it in a tortilla because we didn't have no hot dog buns.
Oh my god!
So does that count as Mexican?
No.
Okay, whatever. We're just poor.
Yeah.
I think you should have used bread instead.
Yeah, that sounds like a wrap. You made a wrap.
Terrible.
We made a. I'm just fat as shit. Okay. Let's pivot into the next scene, but there are some things I want to talk about that. But let's get into this car scene because now we're talking about economics. You know, y'all making fun of me because I ain't got no bread. You know,
Yes.
what the hell? Racist. I'm joking. What's going on with this? I almost said this bread. What's going on with this car scene? Why'd you pick this scene? Because there's some juicy stuff in here.
So just to give more context, so Aja, the main protagonist, she meets this guy. He's super rich, like you could tell, comes from a very wealthy family, and he just decides to like give her like $50,000.
Oh, okay.
Like he wanted to help her out. You know, she mentioned she doesn't have a lot of money, and he's like, okay, here, my dad has a stash. Here you go.
Oh, okay.
So she splits it with the friend, you know, because why not? So the friend decides to buy a car because she needs a car to get to her job, and maybe she gets a little tired like using coupons whenever they go out, you know, because they have lunch together and they're always using coupons and not getting soda. They only order water. You know, she wants McDonald's money. And for the first time she has it. Right? But Aja, the main character, like gets on her about like, why did you you're supposed to save it? Like, why are you spending it on a car?
Facts.
You know, it makes no sense. And the friend is just like, but you have a car. You don't understand like how hard it is for me. You know? Yeah. And I think for me, like when I first saw that, I'm like, I think that just depicts on the privilege that people overlook. Although these are two brown girls talking and they're being honest about it, there is a little difference there. Like one is a little better off than the other.
Yep. Does the character that got the money, is her family like more poor compared to the other girls, or is her parents not there? Because we didn't get a chance into her background.
Yeah, we don't really see the family in the movie.
Okay.
But the fact that she does have like a part-time job and, you know, Aja doesn't, subtle difference there.
Yep.
We hear that, you know, mom is working, but that's really about it. But this Aja has a house, a very nice house with her own room, you know, and can
iPad. That's
she has these
1,200-1,500.
things.
Nice new phone, right? I mean, shit. I mean, Spence knew me when I ain't had no phone. You know, people are like, why you ain't got a phone? You got money. I'm like, well, I got this reason why I don't want a phone and I don't want to pay the money. Very frugal. And some of us, you know, would laugh at me and make fun of me. We grew up with some trauma, you know? So this girl, when she starts talking to, you know, why'd you do this? I was like, well, hold up now. And then she brought up, you got all this other shit and you talking to me?
Exactly. Yeah. So Anaja, like she has a car. It's a hand-me-down. It's from her dad. The dad passed away like many years ago at this point, but it's still a very well-functioning car, and she has enough to like put gas in it and you know, probably insurance and all this stuff. So she is able to like get by and doesn't have a part-time job like her friend.
I was talking Spence to Pops the other day.
No.
I know he ain't gonna want me to, but I don't care, man. I want to say it. We grew up different. And so my transmission just got replaced. And then they was gonna charge me $500 for the loaner car. I'm like, how you gonna charge me for a loaner car and you're the reason why my transmission went out, Kia? Well, I ain't paying this. My dad said, you ain't paying it. I'll go on with you. I said, I ain't worried about it. I'll just take my damn other key car and I'll go take the shit off the lot. I mean, we've done this before, Dad, where we just go and take the car off the lot.
Oh my God.
Pops, with all respect, we talked about it, you should be fine. But you know, we grew up a little different. Hey, we're taking it. And then the white dude called me up. He's like, oh no, sir, that was a miscalculation. My dad was like, sure, man, they were trying to get you for that $500.
Oh, definitely.
100%. Because everyone, they sent me a contract to sign. I was like, I'm not signing this shit.
No, yeah. I did the same shit when my car broke down and I had to get a loaner. I intentionally didn't bring my ID because they're like, they wanted to sign me up for like the insurance or whatever. Because then I would have had to pay for insurance or whatever. And I was like, ain't happening. So I didn't bring my ID to there intentionally. I was like, oh, whoops, I forgot it. Oh no, I guess you're just gonna have to give me the car anyways. And they did.
I'm telling you, man, shit's weird at them places. But again, the finances. Was the dude that gave her money also a Latino boy or no?
White guy.
Very
white.
Of course.
Yeah.
So now I see why you didn't pick no scenes with him. You know.
Nothing against the guy.
I'm
like
joking.
he's fine. Whatever. Like
you hate white
I just
men.
didn't care. I didn't care about the love scenes or the romance between him and Aja. So
to be fair, I didn't actually want you to pick any of that anyways. The scenes that you picked were magnificent. And after reading it, this is what I wanted to do. If you would have picked some love scenes, I'd been like, oh, okay.
Well, I don't know how it is with you, but like, okay, so I'm closer to 40 than I am 20 at this point. So watching like teenagers or almost actors who look like teens, I'm like, you're like my clients. This is weird.
Yeah, it's just gross.
This is gross.
Let's be real. I don't want to see it's like some 15-year-olds, having sex. That just seems pedophilic,
Pretty much is. I mean,
it is.
Yeah. And I love the show Euphoria, but I'm like, I need to fast forward this scene. I can't. This is too much.
Nope.
Yeah. They're in high school and then they look like they're 30 and it's just
I'm like,
confusing.
There's too much meta in it, and I was like, somewhere in here's creepiness, Someone's
There's
watching
a lot
this.
of creepiness.
Yeah, someone's watching this and like, oh, I like this.
Yeah.
Someone's I guarantee it. I guarantee
I mean, same with like Big Mouth. I mean, we just talked about that,
Yep, we've
like that stuff.
We've got
It's
a
like,
certified
it's literally kids
having sex.
Yeah, no, I love that show, but sometimes I'm like, this is weird.
We got a certified sex therapist coming on, and we're gonna talk about it. And I'm like, girl, you got to pick him having sex with the pillow. You got to do it.
You got to.
Please.
I will tag you in it because that might be the healthiest relationship I've ever seen.
Jeez.
I just love the dog. His dog is so like just so existential there.
Yep. I love the hormone monsters. It's a whole different thing. I don't want to get into it, but I love them, the hormone monsters, because that shit is so accurate.
Yeah.
At least for me. Mine's the crippled guy.
Of course it is.
The geriatric.
Yeah. Back to the movie.
Back to the movie.
Yes.
The main reason I brought this up is because I think for brown folks, it's hard for us to realize like we are privileged. There are a lot of us who do have it easier. I know for me, I've had it easier. I have an Anglo-Saxon name. It's not like John Smith. It's not like that, but it's also not like Guadalupe, like that. There's that. I'm a little, lighter skin, so people can't really tell I'm Latina unless I'm like within a room full of other Latinas.
Yep.
But if I'm also like in a room of white people, I could probably blend in. Probably.
Yeah.
I have an easier time. But when we talk about privilege, people get really offended. They're like, no, I've had it hard. It's like, we may need to do a gut check here because one, you're in America. Two, like maybe you didn't have to go through the immigration process. And there's all these things. And I'm not saying like one person's struggle is easier than the others, but I'm just saying like
There's differences. Let's be real. You don't have
privilege
to
is
say it.
there.
You don't have to say it. I'll say it. There's differences.
Yeah.
There's differences. People will like to, I know you had it hard. I had it hard. But there's also
Mhm.
people that had it way hard. I got some clients that grown up in legit in homelessness. And they're going through the foster care system and literally nothing. I still had people that loved me. There might have been some bad stuff too, but we still had houses, money, food, right? But it was hard. Spencer had some hard stuff for sure. We've talked about on the pod. Some homelessness, right? Family dynamics, interesting things. But you're right. You're still in America, so you got a shot. People, it sucks. Well, it sucks at a lot of things. You glad you're not there, and you could be. I'll say it. You could be in Palestine right now, with a lot of young innocent children.
Yeah, and it's not to dismiss anyone's struggle or anyone,
I'm not trying to do that.
if they're having a bad day, but it's just more like when it comes to subtle things is like, I just want to spend my money the way that I want because it's her money.
Yep.
Is it the most responsible thing? No, but she's also a teenager.
True.
Like, am I really going to take life advice from a teenager? No.
No.
You know how many Power Ranger action figures I would have if I
If
had
I
like
had 50
25
grand?
grand? Oh my God. Oh my
I wouldn't
God.
leave my room.
Yeah.
So many Legos.
You're right. I just think it's really good because what you said, some folks will look at you like that's blasphemy, but it's true, man. We all got different privileges. And I think when you call some other folks of color out, they get real weird. I mean, white folks hate it, but even folks of color hate it. I'm like, bro, you preach this stuff though, but then you can't take your own or heed your own, like internalize your own stuff. It's weird. I love that you brought this up because it's a thing even in our own systems, even our own social classes. Someone like me that's frugal at times, I could look at someone spending money like, what are you doing? Spencer, did you really need to buy your third lightsaber?
Speaking of,
Did you buy a third lightsaber?
look, I did a trade with one of my friends. All right. I gave them a thing of luggage from North Face. They gave me a Mace Windu lightsaber. All right. Hey, support my brothers in Star Wars.
The only brother.
That's right.
Okay.
Purple.
All right. Let's pivot into this. Technically 2 scenes, but let's pivot into that. That was the heaviest scenes, and I want to spend some clinical time on those.
Yeah.
So this car scene that you showed us, obviously I know why you picked it, but what the hell? Why did you pick that? Well, that's an intense moment. Why pick something like that?
Well, if we're treating it like 2 scenes, I think the first scene where they're in the car arguing, I found it interesting that Aja's just a bad friend. Like it added another dimension to her character that like, yeah, we're supposed to feel bad for the girl with OCD, but it's like, no, you're a shitty friend.
I didn't think you were going to say that. Okay, she is. I thought
You're
she
a
was.
shitty friend.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, you've been friends since age 11. So the more context, the friend has just been writing fan fiction with Star Wars, but she's been using Aja's life as inspiration, and it is like you could tell the friend is like kind of bitter that she always has to take care of her friend with OCD. Because it's a lot when you
Tough.
think about it. You're having to distract and really be aware of like, are you having the thoughts or are you dissociating? Are you okay? Like that can be a lot when you're not like trained and like how to hold space for that, or probably know the importance of self-care because it is draining, but we're supposed to be there for our friends.
Yeah.
Right. And as the other layer is like being Latina, like you're supposed to do that. Like that's expected. You're supposed to be self-sacrificing. You're supposed to, be a people pleaser. And for the friend, I bet she just was like, you know what? I need a vent. I need to like express myself. And fan fiction was that for her. But the fact that Aja never read any of her stuff since age 11, and they're like close to like 18 at this point, never even thought to like maybe read a thing or two. Kind of messed up.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, so I think a lot of things were just like boiling and, just kind of like cracks in the friendship to begin with, but the fact that the main focus was the OCD, they'd never had a chance to like really process that until that car scene.
Spence, when you're listening to it, did you feel like she was a shitty friend too, or were you like, it's fine? What were you thinking when watching it? Right, because it's our first time.
Right. I mean, it's tough because I don't know like the full thing, but yes and no, because sometimes being a good friend isn't just like having all the fucking details on your friend, right? It's not all just about that. It's also about if you're there for them, if you're actually going to, if they need you, you are going to be in their corner no matter what,
Do you
right?
show up?
And from what she was saying, she kind of wasn't in her corner at all. So, it's leaning towards that shit friend, but at the same time, I mean, she's probably also done some really good things as well. I mean, she gave her home like thousands of dollars, even though she didn't have
Yeah.
to do that.
Mhm.
That's her best friend. You know what I'm saying? Like, and just giving money to your friends isn't always going to be enough. But at the same time, if I'm a friend and I'm struggling and someone else gave me thousands of dollars to help me with that, I think that would be pretty amazing, and I'd be, pretty happy with them, and and it's not just about the money, it's also about if you're there for them as well. So, there's
Yeah.
you can't just for me, you can't really just say like, oh, automatically just shit, like just shit. For at least for me, because I think there are different levels of friendship that you can really go through. And yeah, they've known each other since they were like 11 years old.
That's
But
the thing, though.
hey, some people are different though. Some people are like
True,
that. Some people, aren't going to know like, do you know my middle name? No, the
bro.
fuck? Like, no, I need to know that shit.
But she said, like, do you know my parents' name or something like that?
Yeah,
I was
that's
like,
true.
bro. I said, let me tell you. So I was sitting there thinking, like, damn, I know Spencer's mama name. I don't know his daddy name either. I'm like, motherfucker, you got cats?
I know. When she was asking those questions, like, fuck.
Well, because even in that scene, like, would Aja had even known like who to call if tables were turned in
Oh
that car
wow,
accident?
Mm,
You know,
true.
like I bet
you're
the
right.
friend was able to call her mom
Correct.
because she,
Contact.
she's over at that house like almost every day.
Correct.
But
I thought about it in my head. I thought she was a poor friend because to be with someone that long, you got to know more intimate details, in my opinion. And not everything eidetic. Like, right? I mean, I can't remember Colin's dad's name right now, but I know it was Maz Jen. But I grew up around her my whole high school career. I know some of his cats and stuff like. I know a lot of things about my friends. And so to be that one sided, like I get it because she always needs a lot. So the whole time I'm thinking, okay, I'm like, shit, am I a good friend? And like I'm trying to think of you, Spence, and then Colin. But I'm also thinking, girl, did you ever set any boundaries with her? Did you ever talk to her about you getting overwhelmed, or were you too scared because you thought she was going to get ashamed and like shut down or distance you, cut you off, or rage? And so what was holding her back from like working on these things and talking about these things? I work with my clients all the time on this issue. Like, yo, if it's too much, it's too much. You're not a martyr. You're not the therapist. They need to work out. Well, they ain't got no money to afford a therapist, this and that. I'm like, okay, but we still there's ways and there's programs, and we can help them get on Medicaid. Like there's things we can do to make it to where you're not the lift. You're 17 years old. What the fuck do you know? You got your own stuff.
And I think for folks in our community, it's hard to say no. Because
It is.
in our families, like we're so programmed to just you're not really allowed to say no.
Yep.
The end needs help. You can't say no. Like there is no option. You just do it. Your grandmother needs a ride to the hospital. Obviously, I'll drop everything.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Your cousin needs help with homework or something. Like you're just programmed to just give, give, give. So, and even most recently, like I had, well, I want to say it's almost like a year ago, I did like a speaking engagement at a tech company, and the conversation of boundaries came up.
Yes.
And they're like, my mom will never understand boundaries. Like if I were to say that to her, she'll probably slap me. I'm like 30 years old, and
Why
you're
is
not
that?
really the idea is just not, it doesn't really belong in our culture. Like, you're just when people ask you of things, you're just supposed to do it. And I think that stems from, like, because a lot of our rights were taken, or property, we didn't have generational wealth. All we could depend on was each other.
Good
So
point.
if we say no, that means we have nothing. Because name a system in America right now: medical, education, work, anything. A lot of those things weren't built by us,
Nope.
and they weren't really meant for us.
Nope.
And what we were talking about earlier about, like, things being gatekept from us, like, yeah, that is real. So even if your family says no, damn, that's very lonely.
I also think a lot, there's been so much paid forward with parents, grandparents. There's so much suffering in the past. Their suffering has led to your easiness, right? You know, the older generations, you got it easy, my mom would say. We were in the cherry fields picking, strawberry fields picking. You playing video games. You better bring your ass out here and do this yard work.
Yeah.
Bring your ass. Bring your ass. Isn't that the Minnesota thing now? There it is.
Yeah, we're losing by 20. It's
Yeah,
fine.
you have to pay homage.
You do. Respect. And so I'm thinking about that. Every time I've sat down with my Latinx students, and they talk about, hey man, I gotta get my parents off my back, or I can't keep going back home to help out my sister and all that. I'm like, hey man, eventually you gotta cut some folks off. But they're like, man, but the shame and the guilt, and everyone's gonna get angry and they're gonna think I'm a piece of shit. And I've had one boy, Mexican boy, my old school. He stopped coming to therapy and he started bad mouthing me to this lady. But I want a professor, and the professor knows me. And he said, he don't care about family. He don't care about family. He's one of them. He said, you sure? Do you know who Nas? You know who Nas is? No, I don't need to know Nas. He ain't shit. I need to go back and help my family. He's failing out of school, doing a bunch of horrible stuff. It's all BS. Get in trouble with the law. He was sociopathic. And she goes, Nas takes care of his brother and his dad, who are both disabled, right? And they live with him, right? He's like, oh, I didn't know that. She's like, you should probably know things before you run your mouth. So I ended up seeing the boy and I just looked at him. We just did the little nod and we just kept going. So I know what it is to take care of folks, but I've also had to cut off individuals. And I know what it is to sit with that, where people look at you like you're the bad guy. Even though that these other family members were suffocating me and asking me for things I can't do. And so I would have to sacrifice my education, my manhood, my money, my brother and father's stability and mental health to help others. But in this Arab and Mexican culture, like, hey man, that's what you're supposed to do. And I'm like, no, man, that's not. And now as I'm older and I'm going to these things with family on the Mexican side, they're like, I'm so happy for you, but I know you thought I was a piece of shit that whole time. And I know my mom bad talked me too. And I know my sister bad talked to me. It is what it is. So I've helped clients of color work through that. But bro, you want to see another level of intensity, Stephanie, is international students. So I see a high rate of international students because they work at, they go to Purdue University. It's intense. Chinese families, Indian families, Pakistani families. It is intense because it's legit like law there.
Because they haven't had time to, like, adjust to the acculturation. It's only when you come here, you start to see, like, wait, you don't need to make family the center of your universe. Family is not the sun and moon. You like go around. What is that?
What is that? They're like, no, I can't do that. I'm like, yeah, your mom doesn't need to call you 10 times a day. But no, I have to talk to my mom 10 times. No, you don't. What happens if you don't answer? She will call me 20 more times. Oh, damn. You might as well just answer then, so that way you can get her off your butt. Interesting. Well, within our cultures. So this car crash, there's a car crash that happens in this because they're like going at it. That's intense because you see her like kind of wigging out. Spence, she technically led us into knowing that there was like a crash. Did you think it was going to lead into a crash watching it or no?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
You could just tell because then she started getting more and more distracted. And then as soon as she looked here, I was like, there it goes. There it goes. Happens every time in every movie. Every time they look here, they just crash. Every time.
So Stephanie, what would you call that? What happened? What happened? They're yelling, they're arguing. What happened to that young lady? What would you call that?
I think it's like a good representation of like all the bad things happening all at once. You know, we have intrusive thinking, we have escalated conversations, we're having a hard time regulating and managing our emotions, and it just all of us have it. You know, hopefully it's not behind the wheel,
Mhm.
but it does happen,
It does.
and it happens automatically, and there's no real way to like, you know, how do I get back? How do I become grounded? Because at that point, it's just, that window of tolerance is just so high. There's no way for it to come back.
I say you explode. In that moment, you explode. You're gone. You're completely
Yeah.
full dissociated. In that moment, you're arguing. You're not focused on what you're doing. You're just kind of on autopilot, and it's just rage, or it's sadness. So she completely deregulated, as many folks do with anxiety, maybe OCD, autism, doesn't matter. With trauma histories, you deregulate. And you probably dissociate a little bit, kind of get a little woozy, a little dizzy, right? Maybe a little blurry vision. But she made that sentence or that statement, that metaphor of, my friend said you're like mustard. You're okay in some doses, and he's like, I love mustard though. But you don't want that much fucking mustard. And bro, that hurt me to the core. People have said it to me. Spencer knows this. Sometimes I am too much. You were on the podcast. You're like, Nas, you're animated. I'm like, yeah, because this is one of the few people that actually can show anything, and him not be like, you're a piece of shit and you're too much mustard.
You're all the mustard I need.
Oh, see that?
Well, yeah.
That's a
I mean, gross, but
Yeah, I know. It's like,
yeah.
I feel like a hot dog.
But no,
guy.
I think that's the struggle for a lot of neurodivergent folks, and OCD is like part of that umbrella.
Yes, it is.
But I think all of us have heard like, oh, you're just too much. Like you're being a lot right now.
Mm.
That actually happened to me recently. I think my partner and I were just joking around, and we were at a table with a bunch of neurotypicals, and my partner had just said, I'd mentioned like, oh, I'm feeling a little self-conscious, like how's my hair, like how do I look, type of thing. And he's just reassuring me by being a little jokey. That's just what he does. And he's just like, your hair's fine, but they don't care. Like the people at the table, they don't care. Like it doesn't matter what you look like. They hate you. And someone overheard us, and she was just like, that's a lot. And then turned her back to us the whole time, And it's just that little subtle difference of like, are you in the joke or you're not? No, you don't. Do you get? Oh, I guess you don't get it. You don't
No.
get it. Okay, never mind. Never mind. But I know I've been personally told like, Steph, like you're being too loud. Like you're being like extra right now.
Yeah.
And over many years, I've had to learn like that was just the messed up message.
Mhm.
I don't need to be that toned down. I don't need to be that professional type of therapist. I am allowed to be a little jokey or sarcastic, but unlearning that is interesting.
Tough, right? Because not only are you fighting the whiteness that it is through therapy and how they teach the profession in grad school, but you're also dealing with gender politics too. And since I'm a large boy, I can get away with some stuff compared to you. But people will knock on my door like, everything okay in there? I'm like, I'm in here laughing with my client, man. Back the fuck. Well, you just in there hooting and hollering. You do the same shit, Bobby. Like, I don't ever knock on your door. I'm in here trying to do a meditation. You out here making jokes and shit. So don't interrupt me when I'm having fun with my client. There's not always a lot of good moments. So if we're laughing, let it roll.
Yeah.
But yeah, black and brown bodies, we can be more animated. We can talk, and for folks that are autistic that listen to the pod, because as many of us are, or neurodivergent, ADHD, many other things. Some of us has voice modulation or regulation issues. So we got some that are way up here, and I'm like, boy, you better stop yelling at me, boy.
Yeah.
And then some are very soft spoken and quiet. So I mean, that's the thing in our community.
Like what? Like what is that?
Is this anxiety? Oh no, this is just how you talk. Got it. So that's the thing. Do you think 2-in-1? So I saw today that you post some stuff about body positivity versus body neutrality. And so is this like a big thing that you also talk about? Was like body related issues, body positivity, body dysmorphic related things, or fat phobic things? I was wondering if this is also part of like the stuff that you promote, like, or advocate for. Because I was wondering if that plays into your stuff too. You're like, oh, does my hair look like this and that? Because every time I've seen you on the internet, I'm like, you're gorgeous, and I hate you.
Oh,
And I'm like, I hate your hair. It's part every time your skin. You know, I'm just getting weird. Sorry.
you're fine.
But I'm like, yeah, you are gorgeous, and I love the post that you put out today. Because I was like, holy shit, I haven't thought about it like that.
Generally, when I do a post, it's more or less like themes for that comes up a lot. So if I'm hearing like a sense of, man, I really don't like my body, it's like, oh, maybe I should like talk to my social media person, and we kind of come up with stuff. But as we're going into summer,
Yeah.
I know like summer bodies is definitely a thing. And how do I accept the body that I'm in when, Eurocentric whiteness is the beauty standard, you know? And I know for me, like personal, things like my hair or my appearance wasn't, I didn't always like it, like especially my hair.
Oh
So
wow.
having wavy hair was considered is what my family members would call like hincha hair. Now, hincha hair is like unkempt. It's very like low class, kind of ghetto hair.
Oh wow.
That means you don't have money to like straighten it or like get it treated or,
Okay.
find a way to like hide my ethnicity type of thing. Although said jokingly, it kind of did hurt, because it was my hair. It was very like
Yeah.
I love my curls, I love my waves, but that wasn't allowed. And none of us really knew how to take care of it. You talk to my other
Yeah.
siblings or my other family members, um, they mainly straighten their hair.
Yep.
So all of us are like, we don't know what to do with this. You want to do the wavy thing, but I had to learn on my own what that meant.
When did you get
Yeah.
comfortable with it? Because that's one of the most biggest things I've noticed about you is the hair and the curliness. I've always enjoyed that natural look, but I know whiteness makes folks, even in the black community, straighten it or conk it. Like this is the vibe.
Yeah.
Ooh.
In the beginning, it was a practical thing because to get used to like wavy hair, it does take some education. It does take some
I've
products. There
heard.
is an investment,
I've heard.
time and money type of thing. So to straighten it to me was always like it's the easiest thing, you know.
Yep.
But the waves were just unruly. They always came back. So I would spend almost an hour just straightening it because I have thick hair. And I think during the pandemic, it was just like, why the hell am I doing this?
Yep.
Well, I'm working for myself now. There's no need to like hide the curls anymore. I could just show up as myself and my clients
Awesome.
appreciate that, you know?
Awesome.
So still learning. I don't know half the time what I'm doing, but so far it is like it's a learning process. And that's kind of where me and my clients are on the same pace about it, especially with body neutrality. It is a learning process. There's going to be ups and downs, there's going to be good days, bad days. But the moment you start to just be more aware of like, okay, what do I want to do with this? How do I want to approach this? That's half the battle right there.
Facts. Okay. Magnificently said. The last thing, Spence, I don't think we've ever touched on OCD like this before. Can you think of it? No. Give us a depiction, kind of what's going on there, and then why you picked that. That I thought was a magnificent visual for everyone to see in depiction.
Yeah. So what I loved about this whole movie, it really just depicts and what it means to have intrusive thoughts, especially with OCD. And it's not in this like monk type of way, like I need to wash my hands, frequently, or I need to like have these little ticks or mannerisms, because that's a little comedic, it's a little jokey,
Yep.
right? This shows like the actual mental health disorder, you know,
Yeah.
and it's not this like tropey way. But what's happening in the scene is after the car accident, her liver is bleeding and she has such a phobia about being in hospitals. Like she keeps saying like I'm going to get C diff. I'm going to get C diff. Like I need to get out of here. And the mom's like, "No, you need to stay cuz you obviously need medical help." But she's just livid. Like if I stay here,
I'm gonna
I'm
die.
going to get C diff you know? And I think that's what a lot of people don't really understand about OCD and why it is so hard to break that mindset because really the brain is trying to protect you. It really does think it's doing its job.
Yep.
when you wash your hands or when you know, avoid certain things, like maybe I don't want to go to places where I could get contaminated. The brain is thinking like this is what's going to keep you alive. So labeling it as irrational thinking or it's a mindset issue. It's not the full picture.
Correct.
So when she has to accept like she needs to stay in the hospital, she is still struggling with the idea like I'm gonna get C. diff. So she goes to the bathroom and starts like devolving. The breakdown starts to happen. And she looks at the hand sanitizer and is like, okay, this is the way to save it. This is the way for me to do this. I can eat this hand sanitizer and be better.
I didn't see that coming. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't see her eating it coming. I thought she was gonna pretty much bathe in it. But when she started eating it and then globs of it, I'm like, oh, this is intense. I actually thought she was going to pause. I thought it was magnificent showing in the visual where she couldn't go to sleep and she was still obsessing over it and staying up and she couldn't help herself. But then I thought she was gonna, how to fix this. When I hear students say that, I'm like, oh, I know what this means.
Yeah.
This means end of life. This means the only way, because many of my students with severe OCD, the only way to stop it is to not be here. And I was like, no, Stephanie, this is not what you're showing us right now, right? You can't do this to me. And then, and thank God, it was still really bad, but it wasn't that. And I just want to be very clear that I will have people that contemplate very severely termination of life because there's no way to get out of this. And that's horrible to know that folks have to like go to that extreme to escape the germs or to escape whatever that phobia is or the obsession is. But she starts eating that stuff, man. And thank God the mom came in because you're going to wreck you are going to be sick now.
Yeah, the stomach and the esophagus. Yeah.
I had to look up C. diff. It's colloides.
Mm-hmm.
So I assume that's a whole bunch of crazy stuff. I think Brock Lesnar had that. He almost died from it.
Mm-hmm.
Or something like that. That looks horrible. Yeah, I'm looking up the symptoms and stuff.
And she is right. You can get it from a hospital, like staying in a hospital. But it's just once she has the thought, it just kept going and it kept reminding her in the flashes. Like there's no stopping it.
The flashes, I wonder if that's the actual flashes that he saw when he sees things, the author, because that was a very molecular level flash and how it's like poisoning the body and like, the germs are moving throughout her cells. Very intrusive. It reminded me of the hyperphantasia, which we talked about with our last guest, which will air about a month before this when we talk about the movie The Fountain. And I can see that pushing a lot of people. They just keep going and going and going, and they spiral into worse and worse and worse. And I'm almost surprised. I guess I'm not surprised. The mom can only do so much. But like, if you know that kid's in there, like, I feel like you need to be on like high alert. If they're like, I thought she was going to try to escape. Like somehow she was going to escape. So I feel like going to sleep when your kid's there, I'm like, you got to have like one eye open or like a bell on her or something. Have you ever seen OCD shown like this like visual and vivid like this, Stephanie, or no?
No, but that is the way that I have visualized it when my client describes it.
Facts.
Especially with intrusive thoughts. So I have a more visual mind. It's not like hyperphantasia or anything. It's kind of like in the mid.
Yep.
And generally, like when my client is like in the depths of like I have intrusive thoughts, it is these flashes that come in and out.
Yep.
And trying to stay with them and trying to like break that cycle. It's just really hard to do. Because again, like they probably can't hear me. They're probably more concerned with the buzzing or whatever is kind of showing up in that moment.
Did they talk about in the movie or the book? Does she have any mental health treatment or no? Any history of it?
Yeah, but I think it was. So this is where I think John Green needs to like kind of explain himself a little bit more. It's kind of like overlooked, but basically the dad dies suddenly.
Yep.
Obviously like every book, every coming of age story has like that type of trauma. you know, but the actual treatment for it isn't really discussed.
Okay.
I like to think that the mom was like, "You need some help," you know? Mom looks kinda, like, similar to my age, so millennials are more prone to, like, "We're gonna get you some help."
Mhm.
Yep.
You know, but if she a Gen Xer, it's kinda like hit or miss.
Yeah. You never know. Same actress from Scrubs, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Carla.
Carla.
And,
Yeah.
like, hopefully Carla knew that
Yeah.
her kid needed some
I have
therapy.
experience in this field.
You're a
all right?
nurse.
Yes. Yeah. But for, you know, if I think I wanna say, like, she was about, like, 10 when her dad died, it's kinda hard, you know, getting a kid that age to open up and understand, like, you know, and there were, like, early signs of self-harming.
Okay.
So, having to go on that level with a 10-year-old, and depending on the therapist, I don't know how much progress was made.
Depends. Yeah. I mean, and you don't have to say this, but their therapists are a dime a dozen. There's a lot of
Mhm.
ones out there that are not good. And I don't want to shame or have people avoid going to them, but to find that right one, the right click, the right identities to merge with yours, to get the right things out, to get the right neurodivergence to synchronize, it's a task sometimes. It's really a task. And sometimes we don't have the time or money to be afforded those privileges to like find another one. It was hard to watch, right? I mean, I cried, I teared up when I saw it. Her suffering with that so much. She said in that car scene, imagine always being mustard. This is all you know, this is all you think of, right? This is who you are. And I was like, Jesus. You're consumed. And when you're
Mhm.
consumed, your ability to empathize or put yourself in someone else's shoes goes out the door. You're burned out. And so you can't be a good friend. You can't do some of your daily tasks because you're consumed. Your whole world is mustard.
Mhm.
So there are some excuses built in, but also there needed to be more support outside of the friend. There's a lot. I don't wish that on anyone. That scene, I don't wish that on anyone.
Yeah.
And Spencer have seen me in my worst days when it's like that. And I'm like, full on, I can't let something go and I'm spiraling. And I'm like, holy shit. Or like I'm dissociating after like bad news. I'm like, oh, okay. So we're just trying to walk, Nas. We're just trying to move through 50 through the door right now. It's a son of a gun.
Yeah. And I think that's why it's not easy to label any of these folks as like bad people or bad friends
Yep.
initially. Because it is complex, but there are these interesting moments where it's like, I really want to show up for you, but I really can't because I maybe I don't know how, maybe it's not enough.
Yep.
But either way, like humanly possible, like dealing with OCD on this level is difficult. And it's okay to admit that.
Yes. So as we wrap up here, I'm thinking, right, folks that are struggling with OCD, please get help. Please, please, please. If it's on this level, please, please, please talk to someone. I feel like a lot of you probably haven't told anyone that you're dealing with this. And so if you are dealing with it, please speak up to someone, a friend. I get we just said, you know, you don't want to be a burden to stuff, but like if you've never talked to anyone, you need to open up.
Yeah.
Because you should not be dealing with this. You should not be some of my religious kids with scrupulosity. And like it's intense. Especially when you're in that pubescent age, early teen age, things are getting real weird real fast. And if you are the person that's feeling like you're getting used too much, and maybe you're in our cultures, you really need to do your best to start standing up for yourself. You can't give from an empty cup. Like you still have to live. And if you say, hey, Nas, you're selfish and you're a piece of shit, well, okay. But the shit I'm going to tell you is going to help you live and survive, and then you can take care of those other people. But you have to recharge. You have to. Yeah, you can't let yourself be a martyr. That's old school stuff, man. That stuff don't work. Those martyrs die, FYI. You're dead at the end of it. There is no like, oh, I was a good person. No, you're dead. You got any sauce? Oops. Shit, my microphone. You got any sauce? Some tapatio you want to put on this? Sorry.
Some what?
Yeah. I think what a lot of folks probably missed in the movie is there is a sense of like Marianismo in this. That whole image of like for Latinas to be as close to the Virgin Mary as much as possible that is a goal.
Okay.
That is what is instilled in us from like when we could walk, and to break that or to somehow be contrary to that, it really does feel like we're breaking a rule. It doesn't have to be like absolute, like always no, always yes. There can be a little bit of a balance. So the way that I describe it to my clients is like n- saying no doesn't automatically mean no to everything. It just sometimes. Can we just move to sometimes? Same as like body neutrality. It's hard to like be positive when you're not in a space of like, you know, you really don't think your body is a beauty standard, part of the beauty standard. So why don't we move to like maybe not hating it all the time?
Yep.
As long as we're progressing toward that, I think that, hopefully that'll lead us down a path of like healing.
Well said. I do that with people all the time. Maybe you don't hate yourself completely. Maybe you don't think you should die. You still don't like yourself, but you don't think you should die.
Yeah. If not every day, then maybe like 2 days a week. Can we move to that?
Can
we
you know?
compromise to that?
You just
fine.
can you at least say you deserve to drink water? Let's start there.
Yeah.
We're going at the basics here. I'm gonna kick it over to Spence for the ending stuff.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you, Stephanie, for coming on. Any plugs before we get out of here?
I am open to speaking engagements right now. Would love to work with colleges or tech companies or anyone who just wants to see a Latina talk about like imposter syndrome, trauma, burnout. More than happy to talk to you all about that. And I'm also starting my financial trauma coaching services. So if people are interested in that, I do have a newsletter and expect more stuff on the gram.
Awesome.
Where do we find this stuff?
Where?
So I have 2 pages, one for my private practice. It's Todos Therapy. Todos for a reason. It's an acronym. So
What's the
if you
acronym?
want to know more.
Yeah.
Together overcoming and demystifying the other struggles.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm all about the other, whether it's neurodivergent, being the only Latina in the room, being first gen and going to college. Like I want to talk to the other.
Okay.
You belong here.
Nice.
And my financial coaching, it's called Awkward Money because I'm all about the awkward. And if you're awkward with money, let's talk. We can talk.
Mm.
That's not where my brain went with awkward money. I was like, this illegal money. Are you money laundering for people? Like, I don't know what you're doing.
Hey, I'm all about like, if
No.
you make your money and you're feeling weird about it, whether it maybe that, or if you're a sex worker
Yep.
or a contract worker or gig worker, and it's just you got some feels about it, you can come talk to me.
Let's talk about the shame, guilt, the hustle, whatever it is. Yeah, it makes sense.
Even
Have you
working
heard of
nonprofit, I was a contract worker for many years. I know the pain.
Huh? There you go.
There you go.
All right. Well, thank you again, Stephanie, for coming on. Really appreciate it. And it's been fun. Yeah. So with that, I'm Spencer. That's Nas, Different Spectrum Podcast.
All right, everyone. Remember, take care of yourselves.
Or don't.
That's completely up to you. Much love. Peace.
Bring your ass.
Jesus, awkward money.